So what I find amazing, yeah, is that yesterday it snowed. In fact, I think this morning it was snowing, right? So it's the middle of spring, almost summer. We have a lot of sun a few days before, and then all of a sudden look out the window and it's snowing. Like, how crazy is that?
Where are you at, man? Do you not usually get
England.
snow? Okay, gotcha. So it's usually just like gray rain, not a lot of snow.
Yeah, so usually it's like you got your your winter, your cold, your snow, and then it's like spring, and then it's summer. But we don't really have like sun, like 20 degrees or whatever it was, and then it's suddenly snowing. It doesn't
Hmm.
make sense. Like, again, rated like animals do when the temperature changes, you'd never see like that contrast between sun and snow because you would have been long gone by then. Um, so maybe it's because we've all stayed in the same place for quite a
Yeah.
while now that we're seeing all this stuff. What do you reckon?
Yeah, that's interesting. I've never looked at it like that. But I like thinking back on when, thinking about times when humans were more nomads, and I feel like I could, get down with that life a little bit, constantly moving and going to a new place, traveling with your
It's
community as well.
it's exciting, like going to new places, new smells, new people, seeing new things. Because like when animals migrate, they all migrate. Like the animals don't stay there and then the other ones migrate and they stay. No, it's like this constant flow. So you're always going to meet like new animals at every time you migrate. You're always going to meet new humans every time you travel and do stuff because they're not always going to be there. And meeting new humans and connecting and hearing stories and sharing like food and like lifestyle stuff. It's amazing. Like
It
it's
is
that's what life is.
amazing. Yeah, and then you hopefully develop a more diverse friend group of people of different ages and different races, and yeah, don't get stuck in your routine so much, and you're more inspired and learning from other people, other cultures.
Like, so many people who travel end up seeing the whole world completely different when they come back. Like people who don't versus people who do travel. It's amazing. Like
Oh
they're
yeah.
literally not the same person that they were when they left. Like their old friends are like, man, you've changed. And often it changes friendship groups because you aren't that same person anymore. Because most people are made up of the same bullshit every day. And they're this traveller person who's been to Bali or whatever, Australia, and he's seen that there is more to life than just 15 miles of where I live, pubs, clubs, friends, and then that is it. Like there's a whole world out there. Think about like when I think about how many people are in China and then in America and then in Australia and then in London, I'm like, fuck me. The world's so big and there's so many humans. And every time you speak to a human, you feel like you know them, but you don't. But because they're a human, you do. And that baffles me. How you can like speak to anyone and you feel like they're just like a relative, subject to them being a nice person, of course, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think, down down to it like we're not that different, and hopefully there's something that we can all agree on and connect on.
What countries do you think people should travel to?
Pardon me?
What countries do you think people should travel to?
Oh, well, if you are from a first world country, I think you should travel to a third world country because it will give you a different perspective on things. And, um, you know, often we can forget how good we have it and start to complain about really irrelevant stuff. But when you see how other people are living with so little, but how they're how they appreciate things a lot more, and their sense of family and community is so strong. It kind of can really change your perspective in a positive way. So I think that's powerful.
Yeah, so like most people, they go to work to make money to have this car, big house, whatever, jewelry and watch. And then you go to these certain places in the world, and they all live in the same village with like literally in tin shacks, and they're all cooking like massive meals for like all the other local people. They're sharing food. They're happy. They just appreciate and love life. And we're looking at them as like just poverty, like nothing. Look at you haven't even got a house. And you speak to them and they've got so much love and
Yeah.
understanding and of the world, that you look at all these people with money and you think you just do not compare in any single way. And it's like, who's wrong and who's right? Well, no one's wrong, no one's right. It's just what you're used to, which means there's no right or wrong way of how to live your life. It's just what you're used to. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to, how do you feel? How does a rich man feel when he's chasing all this money because his mate's got more money and he wants to be more powerful? Versus how does a lady who seems to have nothing, who's cooking a massive meal of, say, I don't know, risotto or whatever, pillar, some rice dish, and how happy she feels? Well, she's winning. She's more happy than you are with your big house. And you look at her thinking, oh, she hasn't really got a house, but she's like, what is a house? That's all I've ever known. So it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Yeah, like what are our values and what do we see as success in life? Is it money and status, or is it health and, you know, healthy relationships?
Talk to me about your meditation practice. What does it consist of? What would you tell others?
Um, well, mostly I just do a silent meditation, so I'll just put on a 25-minute timer in the morning, and first I'll do some breathing exercises, and then just a 25-minute seated, focusing on my posture, straight spine, relaxed shoulders, relaxed face, and then just focusing my mind. And I'll start thinking, and then it's like, okay, aware that I'm thinking, coming back. Okay, I'm thinking again. Okay, aware, coming back, and then um, yeah, that's pretty much it. Sometimes I'll do a guided meditation with a teacher. I like Muji or a
Yeah, I've heard of
mantra.
him.
Yeah.
So do you think 20 minutes is a long time? Like, do you find that well, do you find every time you do it, the next day you have less thoughts coming into your head? Or are you saying that it's just a continuous thing you have to practice? It's not like the more you meditate, the less thoughts you have the next time you meditate. It's just a continuous thing.
Um, do I think 20 minutes is a long time? When I first started meditating 6 years ago, 20 minutes would have been a really long time for me because I was in such a crazy headspace that 5 minutes felt like a really long time for me. But
Yeah.
um, I think 20 minutes is a good, once you get to that. And, you know, if you need to start with 1 minute a day, start with 1 minute a day. And, but then I think 20 minutes is a good daily practice. And yeah, consistency is where the benefits come in for sure.
5 minutes does seem like forever. Like you could watch a whole Netflix series and then you feel like, fuck, it's an hour. An hour's gone by. And then when you're meditating for 5 minutes, you're looking at your clock and it's like 2 minutes gone. Like 2 minutes gone. Jesus Christ, it feels like ages. So actually to slow down time, people need to meditate rather than focus, because there's a massive power of meditating in terms of time. Like you could meditate and your time will feel so much longer. Whereas if everyone's always occupying time with a phone, an Xbox, Netflix, or whatever, then yeah, it's gonna pass by because your brain is engaged, so it doesn't know, it's just engaged or it's not. Meditation engagement, it's no different. And obviously, there's no such thing as time. It's just engaged, whether it's for the whole day or 50 minutes or 3 hours. It's just engaged. Meditation, it's the opposite. So people, if they want more time, they need to meditate, because I realized that when I used to do 5 minutes, it seemed like forever. And then I started to do 20 minutes, and I found that the longer you do it, the more you are in that meditation, and then you can do 50 minutes. But you can't plan to do 50 minutes. You're just in such a deep state of mindset that you just don't want to come out of it. And it ends up being like 50 minutes. And then afterwards, your whole day is just like you're aware before it's happening, and you're hearing the sounds and like your ears ringing because you're tuning into the energies in the atmosphere, and then your body goes numb. And like, I love all that shit. um
Yeah, man.
do you think like meditation is a form of religion in
Nah,
terms of practice?
I don't think it's a form of religion. No, I don't really know the definition of religion, but I would, if anything, I would say it's a, well, maybe a form of spirituality. So maybe that's not too far off from what you had in mind. But um, people can use meditation for different intentions, like maybe they want to be more productive at work, or they want to be less of an asshole, or they want to like, connect with God more.
When you
But
say you do, when you say like push aside the thoughts in your head when you meditate, do you find that the next day you have less thoughts, or is it just continuously like pushing thoughts out?
like you were saying, like the more you meditate, so if you go, instead of 20 minutes, if you go 50 minutes, I definitely experience more benefits, from the more time that I'm practicing. So I'll like go back a bit and just do 15 minutes a day, and then I find myself um, just not as present during the day, and falling back into like old mental habits, and a version of myself that I don't really like coming out. But then I'm like, okay, I need to fucking like step up my meditation game, and then and I see the benefits for sure.
Now, I used to have such an active brain when I was younger, and meditation literally healed me because it slowed my brain activity down to zero. Like I had no thoughts. I was in complete meditation all day for months. But there was just no brain activity, and everything became clear. I was so aware. Everything was pure. Like I could tune into things before they'd even happened, and I knew people were going to call me. I was always acting on the instinct. So, for example, if I knew my mum was going to be like, right, we're going out for dinner tonight, get ready, I'd automatically get ready because then she'd say we're going out, and I would already be ready, and I'd already know like where we're going, and I had the powers of God, so obviously connected to everything, or whatever. But I became so in tune to everything and everyone that I could predict things before they'd even happened. And I remember one time I was so focused on the name Robin because I fell in love with this person called Robin, and she
Hmm.
was on my mind. And every single where I went, petrol station, the casino, the supermarket, McDonald's, every time I looked at the name badge, it was Robin. Every single
Oh,
person,
wow.
like eight different people, one after the other. So McDonald's, casino, supermarket, petrol station, eight in a row. Robin, 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 Robin. And all I was doing was trusting my gut instinct and just flowing and driving where it took me. Didn't know where, but obviously I was picking up the Robin signal. And as I said, it was amazing. That was when I was so in tune to the law of attraction that I was literally putting out thoughts and then moving, and it was happening right away. Truly
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing. Hmm.
And same for car plates. I was looking at on the car on like car registration numbers that the symbols were XAN, and then if we look, there's XAN car plates,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah,
like you
it's things start to manifest themselves, and synchronicities start to happen, and it's so cool.
tell me your best law of attraction story.
Oh man. Okay, well, one comes to mind that I I like to travel in the winter because it's super cold. I'm in Canada. And so I was doing a meditation in the summer, and I didn't know where I wanted to go, but I was meditating and visualizing myself near a beach, and I was saying in my mind, "Thank you for bringing me to a space this winter where I can be near a beach and where I can work using the gifts that I've been given and helping others, and where I'm surrounded by beautiful jungle and hot sun and really delicious food." And I don't know, I was just like I didn't really know what I wanted, but I was just kind of incorporating all these things. And then I all I didn't even do much searching or planning, but it all kind of fell into place, and I ended up volunteering at this wellness retreat for the winter, and it was all exactly everything that I kind of included in my meditation. I had this gorgeous view of the ocean, and we were up on a hill within the jungle, and the food was fucking amazing. Um, when I was teaching yoga and helping out around the retreat center. And I could go more into detail, but yeah, that was probably the most memorable one.
Let's talk about different foods, right? 'Cause most people, they just have the same old shit like McDonald's, KFC, Domino's. Let's speak about amazing food. Like, just so much food out there that it doesn't matter whether you haven't heard it before. It just tastes incredible, like lobster and crab, and like there's just so much food out there. Like, I just
Yeah,
want to
man.
taste all the food in the world before I die. Like, go to every
Yeah.
country, every culture, and have every flavor, because you're used to, like, say, your usual flavors, like just the usual, like, I don't know, coriander, basil, whatever, paprika, cumin, whatever. Go to other parts of the world, they've got so many things you've never even heard of, and yet they
Yeah.
have their own recipes of what mixes with what, and the flavors. Like, I mean, there's so much stuff. Excites the
Yeah.
fuck out of me.
It's amazing.
What is your thoughts on aliens living down with us?
Oh, interesting. I don't know about living down with us. But I feel like when you take psychedelics, it kind of connects you to that extraterrestrial world a little bit. Like there's a lot of people have a lot of experiences of taking psychedelics and um, seeing things in the sky or experiencing things. And obviously, you might think like, okay, they're fucking like having hallucinations, but there's interesting theories out there. Um, who is that? Who is that incredible lecturer around in the 80s or 90s who spoke a lot about psychedelic mushrooms? Terence McKenna. He had an interesting theory that this mushroom itself was an alien.
That is nonsense.
Oh wait, no. Okay, I got this wrong. Not that the mushroom was an alien, but that technology could be an alien, and that technology was this sort of like extraterrestrial thing, and it was super intelligent, and it was kind of engaging with us through as we were like engaging with it, like on our phones and on our computers and stuff. And it sounds kind of wild, but I always found that interesting.
Do you not think that technology is just simply our brains overthinking and creating because of the tools we have? Like, does an alien have to have created this? And then does the alien have to be human? Are we using a tool that another human has, like an advanced human has created? Or has an alien different to the human species given us these tools and we're just taking advantage of it?
No, I think I'm on board with you. I think it's a human creation of the mind, and yeah. But I
Where do
always
you
found that theory interesting.
where do you think that technology is gonna go when we run out of power to power it?
When we run out of power to power it. Um,
Everything runs on power, but it's going to become a point where it requires too much energy to keep charge of everything that requires energy, and that companies aren't going to be able to, like, make enough power to power everything in the house. Like, everything is electricity. So what happens when there's not power? Like, where does technology go? Like
well,
magnet type of technology, which is just energy and magnets, or
I reckon we'd shift towards hopefully more alternative sources of power, focusing more on solar and wind and those things.
do you think that you can literally create a machine that pulls itself along by its own magnet? So you got a magnet on a car, sort of sticking out, and then you've got another magnet on the middle of the car, and it will suck to the magnet, which ends up pulling the car. Is that possible?
I don't know. I don't know anything about magnetic energy, but
Do you think that people should have plants in their house? Like,
oh,
I'm into nature and
absolutely.
plants, but
Hell
it's not
yeah.
just about that it looks nice. It's about the calming effect on the mind and how there is oxygen coming off that, and
Yes,
you feel connected to
absolutely.
nature.
Yeah, the benefits from the oxygen, the benefits of just even though you're inside your house, just being closer to nature in a way, because we're all well, not all of us, but a lot of us are disconnected from it
Yeah, speak for yourself,
right
love.
now.
I certainly am not.
A lot of people, for sure.
The first thing companies do when they like take over an office, like for example, you apply for a TV show, right? And they like smarten up your office to make people more productive. First thing they do
Hmm.
when they go in is they put plants in because it scientifically
Mm.
increases people's productive levels in the office. So you feel connected to nature if there's plants there, even if it's fake plants. Psychologically,
Really?
you feel like, yeah, you feel
Cool.
like you're outdoors. And they go in and they put loads of plants in. Like there's a program on at the moment where they just put loads of plants in. They put a swing in there, a little sleep room, so people can go and just have a little nap. Stuff like that. People take for granted, like how much offices will be more productive if companies allowed their staff to have a nap for even 20 minutes. Like, they have no idea. They're working for 8 hours and you're paying them, of course, but really they're not getting anywhere. They're like, they're not really progressing. Give them a 15-minute nap. They will
Yeah.
progress so much more that you'd end up saying, come in 15 minutes later and have a lie in because they're so much more productive. And I think that systems these days are having to change because everyone's going to bed later. Everyone needs more sleep because our brains are more active. Everything is more on the computer, which gives us more headaches, and brain activity is being used. That s-
Hmm.
smart bosses will allow their staff to come in when they want, as long as they do like their 8 hours, for example. So rather than like say 9 till 5, they can come in at say 11, as long as they do it till 7, or as long as the job gets done. And to think about how happy people would be if they woke up when they wanted and they had enough
Yeah.
sleep. They'd be so happy. They'd walk in the office 2 hours after everyone gets in, like, "Hey guys, how are you? Do you want a coffee?" And they're like, "Maureen, shut up. I'm just busy." And you say, "Rude." She'd come in like she'd be so positive and happy. She'd be in a happy little space singing because she's had enough sleep, and everyone else is just negative and because they've been there all morning. And the productivity levels. I mean, Jesus Christ, when I used to go to school, and I remember how much lack of sleep I used to have. I now think back to then as opposed to now. It is crazy how I feel when I've not, say, 7 hours as opposed to 8. Imagine how
Oh,
people
it's
get
huge,
less than
man.
that every single day. Every single day.
It breaks
I
my
mean,
heart.
Jesus Christ. Right. Sleep is
Yeah.
so powerful.
Yeah, it's so powerful. So many problems could simply be solved with more sleep and more water.
Literally, like, it's the most important thing in order of what we need is sleep, water, and then food. Because with you can go for like water and food for like a few days, weeks, whatever. But without sleep for like 24 hours, your body's like fucked. You are literally fucked. And
Yeah.
obviously, immune system and health and energy. It's like that is the superpower to
Yeah.
anything.
Your
Superpower to
emotions,
yeah,
your focus. Yeah.
superpower for curing disease and superpower to just creating success and getting what you want because it's just like you're giving your body the power it needs. It's taken
Physical
for granted.
performance. Yeah, you're giving your body that time to rest and repair itself and regenerate.
And people eat so much shit and drink so much crap that that counteracts their lack of sleep. So they
Yeah.
feel like if they have a coffee, then they only need 7 hours,
Yeah,
and
you
then they
you
never
get
realize
stuck
that their
in a
body needs more.
you get stuck in a vicious cycle of like not sleeping well and then relying on sugar and caffeine for your energy and then um, your blood sugar, being out of whack because you haven't had a good sleep and then because you are eating tons of sugar and relying on caffeine, you're not sleeping well again and it's hard to get out of that cycle for
I
for
know, for
some.
example, when I have carbs or sugar, right, I have that energy that I think that's just part of what I'm normally used to getting, but then I have the crash, and it's significant because I'm on a ketogenic diet, right?
Oh,
And
cool.
I notice the energy is
Hmm.
consistent. Okay, but as soon as I have
Yeah.
like a sandwich, something simple like a sandwich, a bit of bread, the next day I don't feel it that same day, but the next day I feel it because obviously it's using up energy already in my body, which is the sandwich from yesterday. and I feel just lethargic and shit. And it's really I can't even explain the difference between having a sandwich and a bowl of nuts for lunch. Right? We
Mm-hmm.
feel like, okay, well, a sandwich fills me up. That's because the bread goes in your stomach, the water absorbs it and expands, so you think you're full, right? But then it starts to break down that bread, and now it's just nothing there, so you're still hungry. Whereas the nuts, that takes ages to break down, and then it uses that energy the next day. And something simple like bread really affects people's energy levels, but yeah, that's the staple food. Everyone has a sandwich for lunch.
Yeah.
All they have is people that just have sandwich and a pack of crisps. Sandwich, what? A bit of bread and a thin piece of chicken. What the fuck is that
Mm-hmm.
going to do? Take away that bread, okay, when it disappears in your body, when it's absorbed with the water, you expect that tiny bit of chicken to last you all day. I'm so stupid.
Yeah, I know. It's sad how like disconnected we are from just basic nutrition and knowing how to nourish ourselves properly.
It's our
Mm-hmm.
job as enlightened monks to change ourselves, and then slowly, gradually, one by one, people will be like, so why'd you do that? How'd you do that? And you'll be like, well, I do this and I wake up and I meditate for 20 minutes. And they're like, well, how'd you meditate for 20 minutes? And you'll be like, well, you just have to sit down, sit up straight, turn off your phone. And then, and yeah, and eventually, one by one, you will help people that you can see. It doesn't matter whether you can't see them, focus on the people you can see. And then they'll start to change. And then that is our job as enlightened beings, trying to spread positive enlightenment energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yogi Bhajan says you should meditate every day, and when you don't, he goes, it's like brushing your teeth. When you don't, eventually someone's going to notice. It's going to show up in your personality.
Yeah, it's true. Sharpen your breath, sharpen your personality. Like when I meditate, I do really feel the difference, and when I don't, and it's just like the old days. But it's crazy. Just 10 minutes or 5 minutes out of the whole day, how it literally affects your mindset. Like it's almost like you don't care about anything. When you meditate, I find that I don't care. I'm just like I'm always stepping back, looking forward. Like, do you want to go out for lunch? Yeah, no problem. I just don't care because
Yeah.
I'm content and I'm happy with my frequency. Whereas when you don't meditate, you're stressed and you're worried, and then they say, "Do you want to go out for lunch?" Like, well, I just want to fix this problem first, then I'll do it. But that never ends. That's just life. There's always something to do beforehand, and actually, meditating will cure that problem because it's that anxiousness of something is up, but I don't know, so I'm just gonna, plod on.
Yeah, man. You like we're thinking about ourselves more often. We're more sensitive, and um, when you meditate, um, I lost my train of thought for a second.
So meditation and how
Oh,
when you
sorry.
meditate
Yeah, it
each
came back.
day,
It's not that you become complacent so much and that you don't care about things, but you feel like less attached to everything, you know,
yeah, like
in a
open to
positive
everything, attached
way,
to nothing. Have you heard that
while
before?
moving in that direction. No, I like that.
Open to everything, attached to nothing. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like,
It's
yes,
beautiful.
yes, shall we do this? Yes, yes, yes. And you do it once, but you don't need to do it again because you're not attached to it. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like most people, they go to the same restaurant every week or whatever, same takeaway. And it's like, rather than, oh no, that's not my normal takeaway shop. I need to go to this one. Somebody says, let's try someone else. Okay. Have you ever tried this, right? Giving up free will and then letting somebody come to you and suggest something. And you can only say yes if they ask you. You can't put something out. So essentially, you do nothing until your friends
No.
call you. And that could be 3, 4 days later. But you can't reach out to them. No, seriously. It's almost like
Oh my
catching up in
God.
time.
This sounds
It's
like
like
a practice that would benefit me well because I'm like, I'm not so much of a planner or organizer, but I like to be in control as far as like, okay, I want to choose where we're going to eat and I'm picky, so I want to choose the movie. I want to make sure it's good.
no, seriously, this will be very good because I'm a control freak too, and it's just being in control of your own life. Very simple as that. You should definitely do this. You should essentially you're in jail, right? And you can't do anything until someone lets you out. Essentially, you can't put anything out there until it comes to you. So
Mm-hmm.
you don't make any of your family a tea until they ask you, do you want a tea? You
Yeah.
don't say to your friends, let's go clubbing, let's go to the dinner, let's go shopping, let's go to the cinema until they message you, right? Um, no one basically, you can't reach out to anyone until they message you. And you can only say yes when they message you, okay? And when you're in the car with them, for example, you can't suggest, let's do this, let's do that. They will then
Mm-hmm.
say, do you fancy going to the cinema? Yes. Actually, let's go ice skating. Okay. Actually, do you know what? Let's go for food first. Okay. It's just
So
in flow, and you
do
keep
you
saying yes.
do you find when you do this practice that you're more open to spontaneity and makes me think of that John Lennon quote that's like life's what's happening when you're busy making plans.
Yeah, so when I do that, you don't know where you're going to go because, for example, you got in that car saying, let's go ice skating. And then all of a sudden he says, let's go to the cinema. So you didn't plan to go to the cinema. And then now you're at the cinema. Rather than going out for dinner, you just have a hot dog for dinner because you're at the cinema. So it's like I didn't plan to get a hot dog. So basically, you have to say yes to everything, okay? And you can't do anything unless they do it first. Basically, you allow others to take the lead, right? Because I was
Yeah.
always leading, and my friends always waited for me to take the lead, suggest what to do because they just couldn't make decisions, right? And then I would always reach out because I'm the one who wants to do stuff. And then I used to reach out first, and I got annoyed how I was always the one in charge taking the lead. So I just didn't message anyone. And then 3, 4, 5 days would pass, and they'd all literally one after the other messaged me. Do you want to do this? Yes. Do you want to do this? I can't because I'm doing this. But you don't suggest tomorrow. You just keep
Mm-hmm.
playing ping pong and counteracting. Okay. Sorry, I can't. I'm doing this, and then you let
That's
them come
cool,
back to
man.
you.
Yeah.
I did this, and amazing shit happened. Like
Yeah.
because, as I said, these people are usually letting you take the lead because naturally you're the better leader, right? But when you allow them to take the lead, they doubt themselves. Because so, as I said, they're driving around. They say, "Let's go to cinema." Okay. Let's go ice skating. Okay. They're waiting for you to suggest something else, so you take the control. Okay. And then like you're queuing behind them in the swimming pool, for example, and they say, "Shall we go down this slide first?" Okay. Eventually, they catch on, but they don't know why. They can't. They don't understand. Like something is different, but they can't
Mm-hmm.
quite pinpoint it. It's like they know something's up, but they can't work it out because it's a natural thing like leadership where you naturally listen to them. Um, and then they say, for example, what's wrong? Is anything up with you? No. Rather than let the conversation flow, they then have to play it back and serve. And they say,
Mm-hmm.
well, you're not being very talkative today. Oh, I am.
Yeah.
It's like a mind control thing, but it's really incredible because imagine that when you want something, you always put it out there. Like you constantly, when you observe a particle, it becomes a wave type of thing.
Pardon me?
When you observe something and you want something and it never works out because you're focused on it.
Yeah, forcing too much, trying to make it happen when
Yeah, like
sometimes if you like step back and it just kind of flows into place.
exactly. So just imagine that
True.
when you are really wanting to go out with somebody because you're bored and you're just impatient, you're agitated, you can't sit down for 5 minutes, you just always want to do something. You're messaging everyone, and then often
Yeah.
like all of them can't do anything. They're all busy
Yeah,
until you
totally.
message everyone else, and they're all busy, right? So th- and so you're trying to force it to happen, right? And at the same time, they know you're going to come back to them. Whereas if you just let it all go, they'll realize that person hasn't messaged you for ages. It's kind of like playing hard to get when you meet a boy or a girl, right? And you like them. You play the 3 day rule where you let them message you to show you're not desperate, kind of thing. Yeah. It's a
Mm-hmm.
similar type of thing where you just let it come to you. And then when it does, you just go forward and flow. And amazing stuff will happen. Last time I did that was like about 5, 6 years ago because I haven't got any friends anymore because I said goodbye to them all, so I can't really do that. But
Okay.
when I had people that I was growing up with who were still friendly with me, I learned law of attraction. I started to do it, and the more I did that, the more spiritually aware I became, and the more out of sync I became, and I had to say goodbye to them because we were just two different people. and they didn't
Yeah.
serve me any purpose anymore. It was just same bullshit going out like just what you doing? Nothing. You want to play football? All right. It's just like there's more to life than fucking doing that.
Different interests. Yep, I hear you. And sounds like you were surrendering more to the present moment, and just trusting in the process to kind of like lead you.
Literally, when I learned all this, you just have to trust the process. You listen to all these videos about how you say goodbye to old friends and new ones will come. Well, you get to the point where you have said goodbye to all of them. And they don't understand why. So you're kind of praying that new friends come because you're going into the unknown. It's like leaving a job because this other job's going to come that's better. Well, you've no fucking idea when it's going to come. And when you let go, you're in the darkness, but you're never going to get to that light unless you surrender to the darkness. So you have no
Yeah.
choice but to let go. It's like you have no choice but to just trust that everything you want is going to come. And the only way to do
Yeah.
that is to let go. And it is scary, but anyone who's on that journey realizes that it's the best. It's the feeling of when you come through and you see the light, and it's like, oh my god, they said that would happen, and it does. Oh my god, that's happening. Oh my god, job offers come all over the place, and then you're so happy, and then you go out and you get more job offers, and then like you meet this boy, he looks at you, and it's like, wow, these guys are looking at me, and then you start to like and now you got loads of men looking at you, as before you had none because you were depressed, you were looking down, and now you're looking up and smiling. It's amazing.
Hmm.
It's like a flower just blossoming.
So, what's your story? How did you shift from into being interested in having a spiritual practice?
So all my life I've always like questioned everything to the nth degree, to the point where I gave myself Tourette's, which is like brain activity. So you're twitching because your brain's stimulated really intensely, and the swearing is you're frustrated with what you're trying to work out. So I was on medication for 10 years and to suppress the twitching. So it's like, okay, medication works, but then when I wasn't on it, I could think again. Thinking makes twitching. So it's take your tablet, so the twitching stops. Vicious cycle. So I was 20 years old. I fell in love, and then my head was a mess anyway. I was on the med still. I learned law of attraction, power of the mind. It all started from this person I fell in love with. She said about the Illuminati, which was people at the top controlling everything, right? And that's
Okay.
about you feeling like you don't have control over yourself as opposed to people controlling you. And the more I looked at the Illuminati and the New World Order and governments and power, it linked to other videos like Power of the Mind, Law of Attraction. So it's the opposite. It's not Illuminati, devil, power, control. It's just people who don't get it see that control, but actually it's just you are becoming more aware and taking control of yourself. And so I was looking at The Secret, The Law of Attraction, Power of the Mind, and people were saying Oprah Winfrey's part of the Illuminati, Will Smith, and all those types of bollocks. And then you look at it from the opposite, which is these are just enlightened people who've created their life through being aware, and you make money. It's just how you look at it. And then I went down that rabbit hole instead. So rather than everyone trying to control everyone and Illuminati bollocks and the devil, you see it as okay, these people are smart and they're wise, and you listen to more of those videos, and you just do a massive YouTube rabbit hole of everything: Power of the Mind, Law of Attraction, The Secret, quantum physics, Bob Proctor, Bruce Lipstein, epigenetics, and literally you just go down this amazing, oh my fucking shit, everything I've ever learned is bollocks. Everything I've
Yeah.
ever learned was a waste of time. Who gives a fuck about Henry
Whoop.
VIII and with the gods in the sky? And you just realise there's so much more. And that's my story. And then I taught my parents. I spent 3 years not working, teaching my parents, and like teaching them all day, every day, to the point where they got so
Really?
pissed off with me. And then I
Were
started
they,
to
sorry, were they open to it, or they were
they had no
asking you?
choice. They had no choice because they were going to get divorced if I didn't anyway. So I just took it upon myself to
Oh,
take control of their lives and make them
all right.
address all their issues and enlighten them, teach them the knowledge. And I essentially binned everything in the house because it was just clutter and old and part of the past. So I binned it all, and then I replaced it with new stuff. So again, it's like making room for your boyfriend to come in if you like tidy your room, and you can have a double bed, so now we can sleep. Whereas if you've got a single bed and shit all over the floor, how is a boyfriend going to sleep in that bed? So it's about making change and taking action. And I cleared the whole loft out, went to the dump a million times, like went through the drawers, emptied them, firewood everything, put it in order. So now you know where you're like, now you know what everything is. Now you got control of your life, rather than where's this, where's that. You know where this is, where's that, where's the paperwork for this, it's there, rather than where's the fucking paperwork, and you get stressed and start tearing things around, and the people have no control over their life. And so I taught them, and then after 2 or 3 years, I moved to London because my job was done, and they could now communicate and be open and talk about issues and like if the toothpaste isn't if the toothpaste lid isn't on the toothpaste, it doesn't matter. And if it does matter, speak to each other. Ask why it's so important for you to have the lid on. And then I'll say, well, it's because of this and this. And you negotiate and you come to a conclusion. Is it important to leave the toilet seat up or not? It's not who's right or wrong. You both live in the same house. It's a choice. But if you come to the conclusion that, okay, if it was built with a lid, what's the fucking point of having the lid if you're going to leave it up? And at that point, it's like, well, it's a good point, actually. We forget a lid, we forget a toilet without a lid, or we put the seat down. And that's called communication. And adults don't do that anymore. Hence why so many people end up getting divorced because they let problems just occur and they go to the pub and they moan about it with their friends like it's a big joke. And then they get divorced and the kids have no parents together. Everything can be changed. So yeah, and then I moved to London, and then the rent was too high, and I moved back home with my parents.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I was in Toronto for the past decade, and also I saw the rent just completely double. And yeah, but your parents are together now and still, and
Absolutely, yeah, they would have got
that's
divorced, but now they're
amazing.
falling back in love, all because of me.
Wow.
Essentially, I got them to talk about every issue they had in their life and with each other and speak about it in front of each other. I was their therapist. I was their unpaid 3-year therapist, 24-hour living therapist, right? Where every time they argued, I would come out of my bedroom and say, what the fuck is going on? Tell me what the problem is. I'd make them tell me the problem. I would say court, which means we're going to court. I'm the judge and I'm listening to both sides. No one's wrong and no one's right. I'll go, court. Now, Clem, my dad's name, tell me what's happening. Mum, do you agree? And I'd be the person in the middle. And it'll be, Mum, you're wrong in this case. And or my dad, you'll be wrong in this case. What are you going to do to make this not happen again? She's your wife. You're supposed to love him. So why are you arguing at him? If you don't like it, fuck off. He keeps saying you wanted a new husband. Fuck off, divorce him right now. Let an animal free rather than moan about it being in a cage type of thing. I'll make him address every issue to the point where there wasn't any issues anymore. And it was
Hmm.
just peace. And they were communicating and they were laughing and loving each other again, going back to the old days before I came along because I destroyed it. Because when you have kids, all the energy and time goes to the kids and you forget about each other and you start to hate each other because the love stopped. And then that's where the arguments happen. Essentially, you're fighting for that love and connection again, which when you have kids goes. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, when you get older and the kids move out, if you haven't had a connection from the beginning, or you don't kind of have a way to repair your marriage, when the kids move out, that's it. You're free. You now fuck off and divorce that person and leave them. Whereas I knew that my parents were soulmates, and the only reason why they were arguing is because of me, for example. The energy went to me and the kids, for example. I had no choice but to fix it because I knew the problems because I was my mum and my dad. I knew how they both thought, but they didn't know how they both thought because they're not related. But I was both of them. So I saw how to fix it. And I spent 3 years of my life doing it, knowing that if I didn't, I'd be a millionaire, but my parents wouldn't be together and it wouldn't be worth it. So I thought, well, if I'm going to do it, this is more important, the family together, and therefore the money's irrelevant. Whereas if I had the
Hmm.
money, no family, what's the fucking point? Because it was all to kind of buy them a house in the first place, like move out, buy your parents a home. It would have been all for that. And it's like, well, if they're not together, what's the fucking point? So
Yeah.
so I spent like 3 years fixing the marriage, and now they're back. Now they've never gotten so well. I can go make my millions, and then when I buy the house, they'll actually be living it. They get together, as opposed to two separate houses. And that's my
That's
story.
beautiful, man. That's really beautiful. You really like shifted things not within your own life, but within your whole family. And now what are you focusing on? You said you want to make millions, or do you have like new goals with your
So
intentions and manifestations?
in 3 years' time, I want to take over James Corden's Late Late Show and then take over the Tonight Show. So Jimmy Fallon, you know Jimmy Fallon? So James Corden's English person. He actually lives 40 minutes away from me. He grew up 40 minutes away from me.
Oh,
So
cool.
I'm thinking about the connections of the energy, like the apple never falls far from the tree. So when you look at it like that, he leaves, I come back from the same energy. So obviously, energy's all in the same place. Mindset, energy, that show energy is coming from like where I am, for example, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So I want to take over his talk show, and the ratings will be so fucking good. Jimmy Fallon will step down, coincidentally at the same time, and they'll give me the Tonight Show. Okay, I'll do that for say 6 to 8 years till I'm like 40, and then afterwards, I will do public speaking around the world, enlightenment, how to fix your marriage and all that nonsense, right? How to and then I'll do that for the rest of my life. And then once I've got my yacht and my boat and my car and shit, and my parents are happy, then I'll just give money out to everyone, homeless people, little Africans who haven't got a water fountain, that type of shit, and just serve humanity with all my millions, like Bill Gates. Once you've got enough money, you've got your big house. What else is there to do? Serve humanity. Go and give money when there's a storm or a wildfire in Australia. Human connection. That's it.
Hmm.
There's not much you can do when you've got to that level. Just human helping a human doesn't get better than that.
Yeah.
Like being in a supermarket, giving somebody in front of you 20 quid to buy their shopping. Something like that. They don't need you to pay
Hmm.
for them, but it just feels great. You know?
Yeah. That's
Going up
where
going
real
going to
satisfaction comes from.
exactly like going up to a child and being like, here's 50 quid, and his mum's like, oh my god, you're so lovely, thank you so much. Like seeing a struggling mum on the street and just giving 100 quid. Like, not really going to do much, but gives her an extra £100 now to the next day because I've given that, shit like that. To me,
Hmm.
that's what I want my life to be about. But it's one before two. I can't do that unless I'm happy. So money comes first to me, and then I funnel out. On the plane, look after your child. Put your mask on your child when the plane crashes, and then put it on your child. It's not, oh well, it's
Or
my
put it
child.
on
It needs to
yourself
come
and then on
first.
your
Yeah,
child. Hmm.
yeah. Because if you fucking die, the child's dead anyway. So at least put it on you. Your child's got 50% of survival. Obviously, it just comes down to one before two. Um,
Yeah, I hear that, man.
it's why a lot of people are so unhappy because they're always putting everyone else first to get this feeling of, oh, you're so lovely, thank you, that gratefulness back. So, and when it's not there, they are lost. So they do something again, and then thank you so much, and then they go back to their feeling of I haven't got enough. Again, stop giving out. Give to yourself enough so that you have enough, and then you don't need it anymore. Then you can give out. And it's only a few weeks that you got to sacrifice of being a selfish prick to everyone else. Just sacrifice yourself for 3 weeks. Be a selfish prick because they'll be like, you're so selfish, blah, blah, blah. Give it to you until you have enough and then give it back out. They'll soon forgive you. In fact, if she calls you a selfish prick, you won't even want to be next to her anymore. She won't want to be near you anymore because you're so enlightened and you won't be there. You just simply won't be there anymore because you'll be for two different energies.
Yeah, yeah, you can't really give fully from an empty cup. And, if you want to be fully compassionate and empathetic towards others, it all starts with yourself.
Selfless before self, no, selfish. You have to become selfish to become selfless
Mm.
because you have to, like, it's like you want to it's like the NHS, for example, right, in our country, you give them protective equipment and they can save others. Whereas if they've not got the protective equipment and you're giving, like, say, the vaccines to the patients, well, when the nurses die, the patients die.
Yeah.
So you have to give it to the nurses and the doctors first.
And even within relationships, like if you're looking for a relationship from a place of like I am not whole and I need someone to complete me, um, it's kind of like a desperate stance to be in. Whereas if you're living your life and you're content in yourself and you feel complete and whole and independent, but you just happen to be like giving out tons of love, and then you're attracting this beautiful partner to come and join you in that.
Yeah, like when you look at people these days, they're so unhappy and they see like their friends with their lover. Only the good parts, by the way. They only see like the good parts of the loving relationship. They don't see what happens when you are not there because everyone's at a show. When you go out to dinner with your friend, you're always showing the best version of yourself because you don't want your friends to see that your marriage is a shambles, right? So you always only see the good side of it. Everyone's putting on an act, right? So many people, they want this love to make them happy, and yet they are attracting exactly the same energy that they are. They are a negative, fucking awful prick. They're going to attract that, and then they end up having an argument, splitting up, and it's like, what did you expect? That is you. That is you. He's arguing, you argue, so together you're both going to argue. Of course, it's not going to work, and that's why you have to work on yourself. because
Hmm.
unless you're whole, you'll always attract a half. And if you attract a half, he's not a whole, which means that he's not completely self-sufficient and independent and enlightened.
Yeah. And like you said, we're not we're kind of like showing our friends and other people a version of us that we want them to see, but they often don't see like the challenging emotions that we go through, and it's difficult for a lot of people to be vulnerable around others. But if we can practice being vulnerable, and then you're just encouraging, inspiring others to also be vulnerable and open with you, and then others are realizing that, okay, I'm not alone in this. I'm not crazy and neurotic because someone else is going through this as well. We can take care of each other, and I'm not alone.
Yeah, that's the thing. Everyone's trying to put on this happy face, when really no one's happy. Now we speak no one like everyone, but it's not everyone. It's just like majority of people, they're not actually happy and they put on a happy face. Now, I was the same growing up. I was unhappy, but I had what seemed to be a happy lifestyle, like loving family and shit like that. But I wasn't happy with them because I didn't know how to get to where I wanted to be. And your parents are full of what they've listened to their parents and the news and their friends and the neighbours and everyone that they've been around, and they feed you that nonsense down. And yet, I had to change. I had to parent my parents because I had awareness of all this knowledge, and I saw that their lifestyle was like their lifestyle was because of the bullshit that they'd listened to growing up. So I had to become their parents, teach them, and bring them up.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
was
we
war. It was war before
hmm
I learned how to change the dynamics. It was war,
yeah.
arguing all the time, trying to say basically like chicken or the egg. It was a chicken. No, it was the egg. It was a chicken. No, it was the egg. It was arguments all the time. And I realized I'm trying to teach them something that they don't understand. And they're the parents that expected me to listen to them, but I know that they're wrong. And it was just like this: you hit a brick wall and you just, it's like a bird hitting the ceiling and falling back down. It flies up again. Has to learn its lesson. I realized I had to go round. Had to go round, look within the glass ceiling, and understand why they don't understand, and then pull them up. And that is what I did. And yeah, it's everywhere you look. What's amazing is when I podcast to loads of people around the world, it seems to be a humanity thing where everyone has the same issues, and it's all to do with being trapped inside yourself. And it's the same answer solution to everyone.
hmm And like you said, we it's up to us sometimes to like break those ancestral patterns that just keep continuing and continuing through families. We gotta
Ancestral.
shake
It's
shit
a
up.
great word, but it's true. Yeah, it's like I'm the mother. You should be listening to me. It's like you don't know shit because your doctor was a retard. He doesn't know what the fuck he's on about. Okay, I am the person who knows what I'm on about. I'm not a doctor, but the doctor learnt from a professor who learnt from someone off YouTube back in his day, who then taught a class full of people. I'm that professor. Okay, because I've learnt from the same professor. You know what I mean? Everyone's learnt from somebody, and there's no right or wrong. It's just what was believed back then. So like eventually a professor has to learn from someone who's learned from someone who's learned from someone. Eventually someone has to make that shit up. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Eventually someone would have had to make it up. Unless you go
hmm
back to like being a mosquito like millions of years ago. And like, it has to have come from somewhere. And information changes rapidly, but yet the speed in which it takes to get into like, education system and shit like that, 50 years time too late. Everyone's died of cancer believing it's a real thing, and it's not. It's you eating and drinking and not being happy and not getting sleep and exercising because why you got a disease like that. But that the point is that they're dead by the time they find out, or it comes on the news. Breaking news: genes are controlled by thoughts and environment and not hereditary. Oh well, half the population's died by then. You know what I mean? It's just the way
hmm
it is.
Yeah.
Right. Do you wanna talk about anything else or
Um,
any specific topic?
Nothing specific. I'm super inspired by the shift that you created in your family, because I think, if I think about helping others, I often feel like just changing ourselves and our own habits will hopefully inspire others on their own journey to make changes. But you just fucking got right in there with your parents. And
Now, this is the thing, right? Because I'm very strong-minded, and my parents are equally strong-minded. So you can't
mm-hmm,
tell me what to do. You certainly can't tell them what to do. I had
mm-hmm,
to fucking force it. I had to do it. Like, I had to force. If you can't
yeah,
reason, use force type of thing. I had no choice, right? Because if I didn't, well, they would have fucking got divorced, right? I
yeah,
had to force it. There was arguments. I was a fucking, it was hell. Fucking hell. It was like, you're going to make us get divorced. Well, it's like, you were going to get divorced anyway, right? So I had nothing to lose. I had nothing to lose, right? Made them face each other's fears and what they said behind each other's back. So they become aware of it becomes real, like nothing's real anymore. I unfiltered everything. So I had to force change because they would never have done it. Like, like a strong minded person, he doesn't want to be influenced or told what to do. He has to come round himself. So just imagine that you're saying, look, you should ought to sell this product in your shop. And then 3 weeks' time, he's like, yeah, you're right. Imagine me saying that you've got to sell a 50,000 products. Well, you're going to be dead by the time you come around to all of them. I can't wait for my parents to. I can't lead an example and wait for my parents to notice that, notice that, notice that, notice that. I had to force, bang, 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 bang. I had to do them all, like bang, 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 bang. I had to do them all. Otherwise, it just I would have died before. They died. We hadn't done it. I had to force it. I had to force it all to happen. Um, as I said, sometimes you have to use force. Again, you can't force other people. One, because you'll go to jail because they're not family. Two, you can't force people to do stuff. Three, unless you're there constantly mentoring them, they'll just relapse. So you have to go the whole way. As for me, it took 3 years, not being at home, waiting for them to go to work, going in the loft, binning it, buying new stuff, or changing the clock so they'd become more aware. Something else I used to do. I used to change all the clocks to make them more aware. And so now they would kind of be aware that I was changing clocks. And then I would move the picture frame and I'd change the pictures around. And then they would
what?
notice that the pictures have been changed. And so it was like,
Uh-huh.
stop fucking rearranging my house. Actually, it was all psychology because I wanted them to be aware. And the more I
Yeah,
changed stuff, the more aware they became. And then it became a game, which is, I know you've moved that. I know you've done that. I know you've done that. So it became a game. So rather than I'm
yeah.
trying to take control, I took control so they would take control. And now it came to a point where my mum knew where every single thing was in this house. I could say, where's the screwdriver? That drawer. Where's that photo? There. Where was that? There.
Yeah.
Where's this? There. Where's the beans? There. Which cupboard? I was like, it's like a game, a mental game. Like it made my mum so aware and she had so
Mm-hmm.
much control by me taking control and then stepping down gradually. So I take control and I gradually step down as she steps up. And essentially, it's
Mm-hmm.
about having control in the right way because it was control in
Yeah.
the wrong way,
And
controlling
maybe
me.
not control, but maybe action.
Yeah,
And
yeah. It's not
yeah.
control. It's about getting what you want. But yeah. I mean, I want to write a film about this. So I want to have a film. Well, I'll
Mm-hmm.
play the child. I'll play the adult. I'll play me in my head having the epiphany. I'll play the parents. I'm gonna act out. I'm gonna play all the parts. But I've already visioned a film and a book. It will sell for millions, I know. But
Awesome.
anyway, um,
Well, I look
but yeah.
forward to seeing you on the talk show one day. Thanks for sharing all your stories with me.
Do
Personal
you want to quick?
stories.
Do you want to quickly like plug any websites, any social medias you want to do before we depart?
Um, yeah, I got an Instagram account, so I sell organic edibles, and I'm a holistic nutritionist. And I just post kind of like random natural remedies and recipes on there. It's Snack Cakes TO.
Amazing. You sounded like Kourtney Kardashian then.
Really, Courtney Kardashian?
Yeah, she is.
No,
Kardashians.
I know the Kardashians. I didn't know there was a Courtney.
Yeah, Courtney's one of the sisters. She's the older sister.
Oh, okay.
You just sounded like anyway. Canadians always sound American, and they're like, "No, we're not fucking American. We're Canadian. Asshole, we're not the same."
Nah, I'll take that. I like their accent better, so thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
Okay, I'm just gonna press stop, and I'm gonna say goodbye. Right, wait there.
Okay.